So there was an arson attack on Josh Shapiro's home. I believe he's the governor of Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken. Arson attack on his home. This is important for us to bring to the front of the congregation. First, let me show you what happened, and then we'll go and revisit this.
This morning, a man is charged in connection with an arson
shortly
at the Pennsylvania governor's residence while Governor Shapiro and his family slept inside. Pennsylvania State Police said that Shapiro and his family were evacuated around 2 o'clock Sunday after the home was set on fire. No one was injured, but as you can see, the fire caused significant damage to the home.
We do know that this attack was targeted. We don't know the person's specific motive yet, but we do know a few truths. First, this type of violence is not okay.
Joining me now, CNN's Gene Casares. Wow, this is, Josh Shapiro. They were sleeping in the home. They had just celebrated Passover, and someone set their home on fire. What can you tell us?
Well, we've got the criminal complaint now, and in fact, we have got a lot of information. First of all, the charges. The top charge is attempted homicide.
Good.
That this person tried to kill the people inside with these homemade incendiary devices. Next, aggravated arson.
Good.
We also have burglary of a home. And then we have, as the fifth count, terrorism. Cody Balmer is the name of the suspect who has been arrested. He actually had a friend of his, a female, call police to tell them he wanted to turn himself in. He turned himself in. He was given his Miranda rights, but he started to talk. Here's what we know. He said that he walked about a mile to get to the house. And that's when he he jumped the fence, threw the first incendiary device into a room. Police tell us that was the piano room. And then it took off. And then he went to the second window he saw and threw a second incendiary device in. That would be the dining room. It took off. He said it was Heineken beer bottles that he had put gasoline in. He jumped through the second window. He was actually in the mansion at that point, and then finished his business and left. He was asked by police, did you believe that somebody was going to be asleep in the house at that time? He said, yeah, I knew that was a possibility. That's important.
Yep.
State of mind, that goes to intent to want to kill who was ever in that home. He said he hated the governor. Now, motive is not in this description right here. He may have told them more, but they don't need motive. They need the elements. But here is what the governor had to say the family was doing the night before.
Hear me on this. We celebrated our faith last night proudly, and in a few hours, we will celebrate our second Seder of Passover again proudly. No one will deter me or my family or any Pennsylvanian from celebrating their faith openly and proudly.
So then the police also asked the defendant, what would you have done if the governor had confronted you in the mansion? He said, I would have taken my hammer and I would have started to hit him. And they found, Sarah, a sledgehammer at his home.
So let me, because I'm going to play a little bit more of this, because I need y'all to grasp the full story. I want you to really understand what's going on out here in this culture. I don't like far left. I don't like far right. I don't like extremes of anything. Even the word of God says you have to be temperate in all things. The same way that I was absolutely positively disgusted at the assassination attempt on Trump's life is the same way that I'm disgusted about this guy throwing Molotov cocktails inside of the home of Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. Now, a lot of people know, or some people may not know, but I'll fill you in because I want you to really understand exactly what's going on. Josh Shapiro was considered to be a vice presidential candidate of Kamala Harris prior to her selecting Tim Walz, right? If you were following everything with politics at that time, or if you were following me, you know that I mentioned Josh Shapiro. Again, he was considered to be the vice presidential candidate for Kamala Harris because they felt like they really, really needed to win Pennsylvania. Okay. But here's the thing. Even though he's a Democrat, even though he's liberal, I may not agree with his politics, but I damn sure 100% don't agree with anybody trying to take the life of somebody else because they do not agree with them or they hate them. I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care if you're Republican. I know that there's some people that's on the right that would celebrate this. That, oh, you know what? It ain't no big deal. When an assassination attempt was made on Trump's life, that shouldn't have been anything that people was debating on. You shouldn't have seen liberals on the news talking about, well, his rhetoric. No. Under no circumstance should we have, and I'm not even just talking about public figures or politicians or people in certain positions. I don't believe. I remember when they did that player number 2, Luigi, and he went and killed the CEO of one of the United Healthcare subsidiaries. I don't believe that people should be able to put their hands on or try to kill or blow up the house and burn down the house for the family of somebody because they don't like them or agree with them or don't like their policies or don't like the way that they do business. You cannot keep your hands and keep your hands in your own pocket. Keep your Molotov cocktails. They don't want to hurt themselves. They would just want to hurt everybody else. I don't believe that anybody should be putting their hands on anybody, and I don't believe in extremities on either side of the aisle. This is something that should not be bipartisan. That should be bipartisan. This is not something that we should be debating. We should be able to respectfully disagree or to respect other people's votes or whatever it is without going to extremities. The same smoke that I had for the people that was out there torching Tesla dealerships, and I think that they should be charged with terrorism, is the same way that I think that this person should be charged and thrown into jail for life. His kids, his wife was in there sleeping. This is another reason why I could never see myself running as a politician, because it's too extreme. People are out of their mind. They're out of their mind. This should never happen, ever, under any circumstance.
That is terrifying. Gene, I know you got this information just a few moments ago, and you really sort of broke down why terrorism is one of the charges there.
Somebody said paid for by Democrats. Y'all, listen, y'all don't have no human anything in you. Like, you don't have no empathy whatsoever. You think that a Democrat paid them to throw it inside of a Democrat's home, throw Molotov cocktails in the home of the people that's sleeping. Come on, stop. Unless some evidence somewhere proves otherwise, we take this at face value, and we have to extend empathy, and we have to also hold the people accountable that are trying to do the most, because you make everybody look bad. One of the most important things or reasons why I, as a person that is conservative and also vote Republican as of right now, condemn extreme far activities is because it makes us look bad. You know how, aside from the human aspect of it, you know how we look at Democrats a lot of times when I call them raging liberals, because they don't have any logic to why they think the way that they do sometimes. They just blindly angry and mad and want to just see everybody gone. And I believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion until you have something to disagree with me about. Then I just want to kill you. We need to burn down Elon Musk's dealerships. You make us look bad when you espouse some of the same views that I have politically, and then you go to extreme levels to hate somebody that's on the opposite side, instead of mobilizing and campaigning and doing things that actually would help your community and redirecting that energy. You make conservatives look bad if you are a conservative that is extreme and doing things against people that we don't necessarily agree with. We should be able to respectfully disagree. We should be able to use our platforms to mobilize votes. We should be able to do that stuff, but you make everybody look bad. And it's the same energy that I have for raging liberals is the same energy that I have for somebody that said that they hate Josh Shapiro and is throwing Molotov cocktails inside of his home when his family sleeps. Nobody should have to deal with that nonsense.
We'll be learning more. Thank you so much for that. It was great.
CNN's Danny Freeman has more now from Philadelphia. It was an extremely
It
troubling.
doesn't matter if insurance pays for a whole new home. His children was sleeping with that. His children probably is not going to be able to sleep for a long time because they got PTSD. Like, come on, y'all, jump out of the matrix for 1 second. Forget the insurance. The first thing that happens when somebody gets into an accident and you find out that it's somebody that's meaningful close to you, let's say your mother get into an accident. The first thing you do when you pick up the phone is you say, "Hey, is everything okay?" You want to know that they're safe. You want to know that they didn't break any bones. You want to make sure that nothing happened, that they didn't have a brain injury. We take the human side of things first, and then we start to deal with whatever residual effect or the stuff, because you can replace stuff. But your life is more valuable than whatever it is, that thing that was in it. So you automatically pick up the phone and say, "Hey, are you safe?" first. You don't automatically lean into, "Well, the insurance can pay." No, this is children. Are they okay? What's their mindset?
And frightening night in Pennsylvania's capital after Governor Josh Shapiro's mansion, the governor's mansion residence, was set on fire intentionally, according to Pennsylvania State Police. The main headline that we learned Sunday afternoon is that there was a suspect taken into custody, 38-year-old Cody Balmer, who will be charged with attempted murder, terrorism, aggravated arson, and aggravated assault. That's according to the Dauphin County District Attorney. But here's a little bit of a timeline of the best that we understand as to how this all unfolded. On Saturday evening, Governor Josh Shapiro was holding a Passover Seder for the first night of the Jewish holiday of Passover. He was with his family. He had guests over at the governor's residence as well. They all then went to sleep. And then at some point in the middle of the night, just before 2 a.m., Pennsylvania State Police say this man, Balmer, jumped a fence at the governor's residence, evaded state troopers who at that time actually realized that there had been a breach. The man was then able to break into the residence.
So there you guys go. Now for the people that had a question, say, "Hey, where was the state troopers?" They're adding more context into the conversation.
Set fire to the residence, escaped then by jumping back over the fence. He had homemade incendiary devices on him, according to Pennsylvania State Police. Then at 2 a.m., Governor Shapiro said that he and his family and some of his guests who were staying over were woken up by bangs on the door because first responders were alerting him that part of the residence was on fire. Thankfully, though, the fire was in a different part of the building from where the governor, his wife, family, and guests were. And first responders were able to knock that fire down. Amazingly, no one was injured. But again, now there is a multi-agency investigation ongoing into exactly what happened here. The investigation being led by the Pennsylvania State Police, but also being assisted by the FBI. And I just want you to listen to how Governor Shapiro characterized what he was feeling after this entire incident, clearly overwhelmed by the level of support that he's received from so many across the country after this incident. But also he said that he will not be deterred by violence from doing his job or by practicing his faith.
And he shouldn't.
This kind of violence is becoming far too common in our society.
It is.
And I don't give a damn if it's coming from one particular side or the other, directed at one particular party or another, or one particular person or another. It is not okay.
Now, Pennsylvania State Police investigators
say that
this
is one of the reasons why
ongoing.
I was saying that, when AOC and Jasmine Crockett and Bernie Sanders, they told the line on pushing people to, well, we're going to protest Elon Musk, and I don't care if his whole dealership's burned down. And then they'll come back and say, well, I didn't tell them to burn the dealership down. I just said that I wouldn't care because he's a billionaire. It's like, yo. Come on. Everything is not a social media post. Everything is not a soundbite. These are people's lives and jobs and resources and issues and problems. And, somebody just threw a Molotov cocktail through the window. This is real life. This ain't no video game.
And they're also reviewing security protocols at the governor's residence. At this time, CNN has not been able to get in contact with an attorney for Balmer. Danny Freeman, CNN, Philadelphia.
What questions do you still?
So, long story short, again, I wanted to bring this to y'all attention because we have to have logic. We have to have reason. We can't just jump off the face of the earth because you don't necessarily like somebody or you disagree with them, or all of a sudden, you just gonna crash out and be a crash dummy. That's not cool. That's not culture. That's not how you do things. That's not how you handle business. That's not how we are, we handle things as a mature adult. We have to be very, very careful with how it is that we go about doing things. It's not right.